bad, man. We're bad. We would have had to start all over. Like, well, we gotta go back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 113 of Cali Brick Clique. And remember, you can find this episode and our previous episodes anywhere you find your podcast: Apple, Spotify, Stellmine, Bizline, and like always, we have Claire, the Plastic Architect.
Hello.
We have Ninja with lyrics.
Lyrics? Questionable.
What? And today we have a special guest. If you're familiar or if you go to a convention, you'll probably see this guy with a ton of like brick swag on his hat, around his neck. But Cody, how's it going, man? BBGForge. How's I don't even know what your handle is. I just call you Cody.
Yeah, it works. I mean, so my Instagram's just Cody 0937 because it's, super deep nerdy with Lego backwards and upside down and digits. So
that's what that means.
That's what that means.
I just thought you just put random numbers.
Nerd alert.
Okay, well, I just felt like I was called out. But anyways, who are you, man?
I'm Cody Ottley, whatever, aka known as the King of Swag. I only got a title 2 years ago-ish, so pretty happy about that.
It's a pretty swaggy shirt, though, I gotta say.
This is my personal logo for the guild.
So is a guild a secret thing? Are people not allowed to know what it is?
No, yeah. So basically there was the BBG. It was the guild, the Bearded Builders Guild. My best friend Corey started it. And so then we made a hierarchy triumvirate dictation thing. So I'm one of the heads of the three. So I have the pirate logo. He has a castle crest shield. And then our buddy Star Wars Steve, or I don't know what his Insta is, but he has the Empire logo behind the guild. And then me and my buddy started the Forge as a business to do custom printing. So the guild is kind of the thing behind the Forge.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I remember the first time that I saw you, which was at Bricks LA. It was during the ceremony, closing ceremonies. I'm like, dude, this guy has a lot of brick on his hat.
Yeah.
Like literally. It looks like a crown.
Was that in 20?
Was it the one before it all shut down? Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one.
I think it was 20.
I mean, I didn't have that many friends that were, at least here in LA, that went to these conventions. I had a few that I kind of met up with. So it wasn't the same as, the previous one that I went to, which was Chicago. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But tell us about your Lego life story. What got you into Lego? What brought you to this point in your life?
First Lego set when I was 7, like most people my age, was the Black Seas Barracuda, the pirate ship, right? Yeah, that was, good old 33 years ago. A year ago, I actually got it tattooed on my leg because, why not? Pirate things.
Why not?
Why not, yeah.
Well, it's because I met Aubrey. You know her, Makchura. Her husband did it for me. So,
of course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he's like the Lego man to get tattooed by at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Lego
Come to Utah. Man. He'll hook you up. He does great Lego tattoos. So, yeah, that's where it started. I was 7 years old. Got that pirate ship. Started collecting. I had a tiny city layout in the good old days of ripe age of 93, the year of 93 when Jurassic Park came out. I had a nice little city layout, did stop motion videos because I was a nerd.
What?
Okay.
Way back with those really ghetto cameras.
Yes.
Click, move, click. Yeah. So I did that for a reflections contest in elementary school for an age ago. High school, you start to lose that. At least for traditional AFOLs, you kind of start to go into that dark age, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I went to college, I still had a small city layout in my grandparents' basement because I lived with them in college, but I didn't really Lego a lot until I got married, and I actually met the people that are in ULUG, the Utah Lego Users Group. And that was about 14-ish years ago. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it's all gone.
You're an OG.
It's been a hot minute. So I've been in the Lego thing for a while.
So you've seen Lego seriously do some at its low point, survive.
Oh yeah.
And then to this point now where it's literally everywhere. Lego Masters on mainstream media. What is that like?
It's crazy to think my first actual Lego convention was in 2012. So the reason I have so many bricks, I just hit 11 years of going to conventions.
Nice.
So that's a lot. I brick around a lot.
Crap.
You know, I went from having no Lego store in Utah to getting a Lego store it's probably been 10 years now that it's been here.
What
but
a
I used to have
fun-
to
So did you go on like grand opening and everything?
oh yeah, it was crazy. Like grand opening, they had the master builder guys out there building a Hulk. Our lugs like helping the guys. You take the bricks in the back and tear them down so the kids can rebuild them. So they build the Hulk, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I learned about conventions in 2012, and then I got a Lego store a couple years later, and now I started my own Lego convention in 2014 called BrickSlopes. So I have a couple business partners that does that. We're about to hit our 9th year, 2014, ish. 8 tries, 9 years, something like that.
Wait, I didn't know you found BrickSlopes. I just thought you were like ahead of it.
Yeah, I'm one of the 4 owners of BrickSlopes. So
wow. Okay, I didn't expect this part, but like we see conventions like start and like come up again. Like for me, for example, Brick Soleil, that was like where I went, and it's dead, it's gone, not coming back ever. R.I.P. Rip, as a youth would say. And I'm like hoping that someone takes the mantle and like starts it like burning again, which usually happens. We saw that in Atlanta, right? That happened down there, kind of. And then we see in other parts of the country. I could have swore that happened somewhere else. But what is that like to like start and be like responsible for making a convention where AFOLs go to? I feel like the pressure is like serious, especially now.
So now, because Bricks LA and Bricks by the Bay are gone, they are considered what was called a ANE or AFOL networking event, which means they're recognized by the Lego Group, and they actually get support from the Lego Group. It's stressful for me now because we're now the smallest convention that's an ANE. And so we have to hit certain things so that way we can maintain that status. But there's not many in the world that are recognized that way. So,
I mean, you guys are also further west, right? So it's possible that maybe some of those crowds will make their way over to Utah. It's a lot easier to go to Utah than it is to go to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come to BrickSlopes, it's 10 hours from LA to here versus trying to go to Chicago, which is 30 hours to drive?
Like driving. I know people always are. They've been asked because I've been doing a few little mocks and stuff, but they're like, "Oh, you're gonna take them to Chicago?" Absolutely not. There's no universe where I can take these fragile, crappy mocks to a 30-hour drive, or Shy's bringing an army, which is different. But yeah,
oh man, I can't even fathom that. It takes so much setup time. Oh, hurts.
It's not that I have a system. It doesn't.
Okay. I mean, I took my Flamingo mock to Brick World last year, and I got there and it was shattered because it was in a checked bag, and it was just, I basically had to rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you end up spending a whole day essentially rebuilding it. And if you're fine with that, and if you're fine just sitting at your table building it, I am not. I love to bounce around. You know what I mean? I'd take a nap. It's like a vacation.
Oh yeah. I've gotten too old now. I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I just want to go hang out with my friends, drink, have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just So
Con mode. There you go.
But so for me, I was at least, I don't know, Shy, how you feel. I went to Bricks by the Bay last year, and it was really quite depressing because it was after Chicago, after rodeo, or no, maybe before rodeo. And we had been to Virginia once, and Sans had been to the old the one that ended last year, whatever that one was. But so he had been to a few at this point, and Bricks by the Bay, it just was kind of depressing because it was at the end of its life. And you probably know more what the status is on that. It says sounds like you said it's gone forever.
It seemed like Bricks by the Bay, I mean, I'm just assuming they kind of lost their networking status, and they're just we're done with this. It's too expensive. We're not going to do it. Bricks LA got shut down because John and Aileen. John is the Canadian, Aileen's the Californian. She was running Bricks LA. He runs Brick Can. They got married, and now they're moving her mom to Canada.
Oh, come on.
It's mind-boggling to me that the most populated state in the United States doesn't have Lego convention anymore.
Oh, no, it is crazy to me. I mean, I was telling someone else on a live the other day, I'm like, hey, come on, California friends, come over. I'll take care of you. You know, come to Utah. I know it's a little far, but at least it's close.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, there is Brickfest, but we're not counting those.
No, that's a different product,
we're
a
not
different
counting
company,
those.
a different target. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I mean,
for
if
the
you want to
young.
make me real salty, I can talk about that. But
Oh, I mean, go for it. I don't care.
no, they're not. The reason I started BrickSlopes in Utah is because I wanted my adult friends that were Lego fans to have a convention at home, right? That's why we started BrickSlopes. That was the whole motivation. Because we were going to cons. We went to cons for 2 years before, and it was like, man, we should do this at home because then, you know, it's at home.
See that? Yeah, that just
So-
makes the fact that we don't have one even crazier. Like,
Yeah. Well, California.
Well, we did.
I mean, we joked about it and looked at like, how could we do a BrickSlopes in California?
Mm-hmm.
But man, the space
It's
and stuff out there
expensive.
is stupid expensive. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're a frugal
expensive.
people here in Utah, and it's
Well, Utah's
Ouch.
where people from California go to save money.
it's true. Exactly. See,
Yeah. And I don't know, it would be a very like different experience. I also was thinking, I think there is one this year, but it's small. There isn't one in Florida either. And Texas is a super populated state, and you know, they're still kind of fledgling, you know, rodeo
Well,
is
so Brick Rodeo, they had some weird drama where it was
Yeah.
Brick Fiesta before, and they were going to 4 cities
That's what it was.
rotation. Yeah.
that's very
and then
difficult to maintain.
They had problems with their web guy that did their website, and then they kind of fractured and became Brick Rodeo. And now they just do the 2 cities, Austin and Houston, back and forth. So this year it'll be in Houston instead. I went for the first time last year in Austin where I saw you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a great time there. It was really
Same.
nice.
We had a good time too, but like we definitely approached that trip though a little bit more like we were also visiting Austin. You know, Chicago for us was very much, at least for me, was like we're at this convention center that's 10 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
Chicago has nothing to do with this trip. We did like one day in the city, but like, and then same with Virginia. I kind of treat it like, at least these conventions, it's kind of like when you go to a resort for travel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to Mexico for a resort with my family. It's like, no, you're going to that resort that so happens to be in Mexico that you're going to see 0 of. You know what I mean? It's just like
Truth.
kind of one of those
You're
things.
essentially going to a place to hang out with your Lego friends at the same place.
Yeah,
It just so
exactly.
happens to
Like
be in
the
city an hour
the
away.
city is almost irrelevant. You know what I mean? It could
Mhm.
be anywhere.
Wow. Okay.
Brick World last year broke the record. I think that was the largest AFL networking event in North America. So I think they had around
Fantastic.
1,500 adult fans in one place at one time.
Do you think
Separate
that number's
from
gonna-
all the public.
That's just AFLs, just adult fans,
Holy crap.
not public
Oh,
numbers.
I would presume it's going to be bigger this year.
Yeah, and then Brick Fair is probably the second biggest. I think they had about 1,000 adult fans ish.
That is
You know, like I love these conventions, and you know, I've not been to BrickSlopes, but like these things aren't that special. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like it is just a bunch of AFOLs in a big warehouse, and then they are the ones that bring the Lego. You know, as long as there's like someone like corralling the cats a little bit to some degree. I don't know. It's not like some professional convention that you have to like. I don't know. That's multi-day. Like it costs like $500 to get in. You know, those like big conventions and stuff. This is like something else entirely that definitely feels grassroots. And it is wild to me that like 1,500 people went to Schaumburg, Illinois, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
for the sole motivation of like look at my Lego. And like it's and like let's talk about it. Let's hang out. I mean, I'm one of these people. I'm going again this year. Like I can see us going every single year for a long, long time.
My wife is asking that question.
But I
You
think
She's like, is this going to be a thing every year? I'm like, yes.
It's
Like-
hard because, like, with the pandemic, you met all these new friends online with Instagram Lives and all these things that we did digitally for a couple years. But now it's like you can go to the convention and meet all your digital friends. Like, it's awesome, right?
Mhm.
You actually get to hang out in person. Like, last year we went to Medieval Times with a group of
Mhm.
people that I had met on Instagram.
That's
was
why
with,
I'm
like-
convinced if there's like one in like near Anaheim or like Orlando or something, if there was one near like a Legoland or a Disney park, it would be
Oh, yeah.
so much fun.
Well, so that's what Bricks
Yeah.
LA would do is you'd have AFL Day the Monday after the convention, and the AFLs would go to Disneyland. So we went in 20, to Disneyland, and it was awesome.
That's so much fun.
Yeah.
We've gone with our Lego fans to Disneyland, and it was super fun.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of crossover, people liking collectible niche garbage. There's overlaps with other hobbies,
Oh yeah. I just bought my first Lounge 5 backpack yesterday.
Fantastic.
Oh, see, yeah, that's a
No, it's crazy. There's a lot of overlap with that same style. It's not surprising. Anyway, that's fantastic.
So yeah, and then on the west now, the biggest convention is probably Bricks Cascade in Oregon, Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one now. I'm so sad that LA's done. I had such good times there. The last one was like Claire's with San Francisco. The last one was kind of just because it was there was no public days.
They just did the A-full.
Just the A-full, not even I think not even a quarter of how many people displayed the year before or the years before. I don't know. The last time when I saw you, I think that was the hypest I've ever seen that convention ever, because that was the season 1 of Lego Masters. It was everyone was just crowded into the biggest room they've ever been into. Going from that to the last one was kind of oh, this is how it's gonna end.
Yeah,
this
that's
one
rough.
Right here. And then that was it. And then I went to Chicago, and then everything else is just has to kind of at least resemble it in some way. How do you compare yours to something like Virginia or Chicago or Cascade?
So BrickSlopes can't compare as far as size and A-fulls. I mean, we are a small con, but we are a mighty con. I'm sure you know the Hanlon boys, Joshua and John, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've been to a lot of conventions, right? A lot. And they confirm that I give out more swag than any other convention. So that's why I'm the king of swag. So I may not have the people there, but you will get swagged.
Well, that was, what's it called? Bricks by the Bay. We got some surprising amounts of retired sets. And we basically made more, if we don't really sell sets, but if we had sold the sets that we were given as just door check-in, we would have made more than the cost of the ticket.
Yeah.
Which was kind of wild. It felt like some, old AFOL was just emptying out their collection. They just donated it, which is totally possible. That's what they did. But
yeah, it is very possible. That's one I didn't actually make it to, so I don't have I was trying to get all of them in North America, and then it went away, and I was like,
no.
So wait, have you been to almost every convention?
So in North America, the only ones I haven't been to now that are recognized is BrickCan, I think, in Vancouver. That's this April. And then maybe, I don't know if Nebraska Brick Days or World War Brick is recognized, but I haven't been to those.
I don't think World War Brick is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's not, because that's not following the Lego mantra of things.
No. So what does it take for a convention to be recognized by Lego? Is it the same LAN process? Kind of.
It's similar to LAN, yeah. So we're just basically
the third column.
Yeah, the third column. Recognized fan media, recognized A-full networking event. That's what it is.
So you just apply. If Claire and I wanted to start something in California, what would we have to do to get it done? Aside from obviously finding a place to do it, getting insurance, people to work it, finding dates. Aside from the logistical stuff like that, what would it take for Lego to recognize the event? Would we have to do one first, or
they basically want it? It takes you a couple years, so you don't get it on the first try.
Yeah, you have to
establish first.
Yeah.
I think their minimum requirements are 250 A-fulls. They want you to show that you're networking with people throughout the world. So you want people to come from foreign lands to your convention.
And then what perks does Lego provide aside from bringing sets?
They basically let you do a bulk order, and they do provide some sets, which is nice. So
have you had Yan come through yours or any of the
no, Jan hasn't come to us yet. He sent Sina last year. She came.
Okay.
I can't remember her last name, but it's Sina. She's one of the community engagement managers.
Okay, cool. So they have come through aside from just keep providing support. So that's cool.
I don't know if you guys know. You probably know him, but Kevin Hinkle came our first year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
good old Kevin. Not that he does Lego anymore, but good old Kevin.
Did you get any of his stuff?
I actually have his contraband sig fig that's in the flesh.
Oh.
So the Lego business cards are supposed to be yellow figs, but he did one. He was the only employee that did one in light nougat or the flesh color. So I actually have that.
And you wonder. Miss you, Kevin. I know you're not listening to this, but whatever. We still miss you. Come back.
He's still there.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
So yeah, he's still around. All right. So if you were to take yours out, let's completely remove your convention out from this list. Like, where would you push people to go starting now?
So,
like, if somebody were to come to you and be like, hey, I'll go anywhere around the United States, which convention should I go to aside from Slopes?
Then I would go to Brick World just because that's where everybody else is going to go.
But what if they don't know anybody?
If they don't know anybody, I would say the next, like, to get stuff or swag, Bricks Cascade does a really good job of giving out Lego swag. Like Brick World, not so good.
I got
here's my $20 prize as I walk in the door for my $100 ticket. It's fine. People were leaving BrickSlopes with like duffel bags. Like they had to check duffel bags after they left.
I bought a duffel bag in Chicago last year, so just to check it in and bring all the stuff that I bought. So I would definitely push people to go to, because even if they've seen people online, it's cool. You can go there and everybody seems like they're going to go. Like right now, they sent out an email and they're having record hotel bookings. Everybody's going to go to Chicago this year. So if right now, today, if you need to go to a convention that's not BrickSlopes, go to Brick World.
But BrickSlopes first. Yeah.
We'll go to
BrickSlopes first.
So how long do you think until Slopes will get into that type of feel? I mean, it doesn't have to be at the level of Chicago, but you said that it's pretty small. I've never been. I hope you go. Like in comparison to like size with people being involved, you know, AFOs being around, like social media influencers wanting to flock to it. Like what's your prediction of at least getting to that level?
You know, so there's a lot of conventions that are not very good about being supportive to like content creators. Like I have some friends of friends that have had bad experiences at conventions. Like the owners haven't taken care and caused problems, but I'm more open to those kind of things. Like, we were talking about setting up an influencer things where if they wanted to like meet their general public and have like a booth at our convention and do that kind of stuff, we would set that up. We want to set up like affiliate links so content creators could send people to our convention and get kickback from that. So that's something different that we as BrickSlopes are doing versus the other conventions.
Mm-hmm. That's already a big change.
Yeah.
It's hard because they're like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems like they're very much like, you know, you don't have to answer this, but they seem like they're a little bit like grassroots events. Like, they're not like, they don't have huge margins. You know, it's not like this like high profit situation. I don't know. Chicago kind of seems like it is at this point, but like the rest don't really, you know? And so I think it's hard because it's like,
oh yeah, like we're cheap. Like we can't afford anything. Like if we could buy everybody hotel rooms, we would do it. But only Brick World can do that.
Chicago does that with like some of the Lego Masters and stuff like that. So you know that at least their margins are obviously like a little bit bigger.
That's the nice thing about Utah too, is like our hotel rate is 114 versus Chicago, which is 160, right? So it's
significant, Especially,
you know what I mean? The food here is cheaper. The travel is cheaper. You know? So
well, Utah's also objectively nicer. Like, it's like a prettier place to be and visit than Illinois.
So when I went to Chicago in 2019, it was my first time there. Mm-hmm. I was emotionally damaged from the traffic. Like, we stayed in an Airbnb with my friends. There was like 15 of us in a house. But I'm thinking it's Utah. Oh, 19 miles? It's going to take 20 minutes to drive 19 miles. No big deal, right? No. It was like an hour and a half to drive 19 miles. We went to Walmart. It was 5 miles away, 45 minutes. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
No, Chicago is like if you can, it's like stay in the hotel and like do not leave until you take your Uber to the airport.
Oh, yeah. So I stayed in the hotel last year. Way better experience.
Yeah.
But in Utah, it's not that bad. Like we had a couple people go down to southern Utah after the convention, do the Red Rock things, you know.
I was going to say, I feel like there's more. Like Chicago's like a city. It's like something to see.
I'm sure you know Mark and Steven. So we had those guys as our keynote speaker last year, and I took them into the mountains because they're from Georgia.
Mhm.
and they had never seen mountains, and they were like, Steven was freaking out. He's like, take a picture of that, Mark. Take a picture of that, Mark. Like he's just
Oh my
blown away
God.
by these rocks. I'm like, they're just a bunch of rocks. Like they're just mountains. It's fine.
They're just mountains. I know, and it's like they're
It was pretty funny
everywhere.
to see.
Yeah.
But
I think it is nice that it's not like I'm looking at the website now. It's August 25th of this year. It's like a good chunk of time after Chicago, which is like a nice jump, you know. I think there were I remember last year there were other conventions that were like close to Chicago, which
so
felt
Brick
like
Fair is first weekend of August, I think, in Virginia.
yeah, and it kind of feels like it almost suffers because of that. Because people are like, oh well, it's too much, it's too close, it's too much. Unless I'm local, I'm not going to go to it. I don't know. I wonder.
Brick Rodeo is the 3 weeks after Chicago in July, right after the 4th of July. Last year, I actually went to Chicago and then Brick Rodeo right after. It was like 2 weeks in between. That was a lot. I was like, whoa, that was...
Bricks by the Bay was in between the two. We did all three. That was we wouldn't have done I mean, we live here, so it's like that was our local one, but it's still like an hour and a half south of us, you know. Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Man, we overdid it with the conventions last year. I don't know how many we're gonna do this year. But I think like we might go to this Orlando one. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know if that's like an adult one or if that's like for children. And I don't know.
Well, I think
hard to tell.
I think the Orlando one is the same guys that just did the Atlanta Brick Co. one.
Okay.
I think it's the same guy, and he said he was going to do a convention in Orlando. So
it looks like it's the 18th to the 19th.
Yeah. So, but they're currently not recognized as an A&E, which it doesn't have to be, right? But it definitely. I went to Georgia last month for that one, and it was a nice experience. I had a good time, had fun with friends. They met up. And
I was going to say, how was that? Was that like, this one's in Kissimmee. So it's next to Disney World.
Right next to
Disney World. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's late.
So they took my idea.
There it is.
That has potential.
Wait, can you talk a little bit more about Atlanta and like tell it? Because it is the newest one.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Aubrey Friss told my Aubrey Makchura she's like, oh, we have a convention. You should come down here because Brick Fair was going to stop doing Alabama. So he's just like, that owner guy, he's like, nope, I'm done with Brick Fair Alabama. It's just done. So then they're like, oh, we'll do one at home in Atlanta. And so, yeah, Aubrey Friss convinced my Aubrey to go. And then Aubrey's like, hey, I'm going to go to Atlanta. And then I'm like, oh, I'm easy. I'll go. Then our friend Susan went. And then our other Instagram friend went. And it just kind of all compiled it just really fast. A lot of people are like, oh, we're going to go to Atlanta too. So like Ethan and Dom were there. Joey from Legoland, New York was there. There was a bunch of people.
There were a lot of people. Apparently, there were a lot of people there.
There looked like about 120-ish adult fans. So,
have you gone when it was Brick Fair?
I've only been to Brick Fair, Virginia, one time.
Okay, I was going to say, like, how does it? If you knew how it compared to Brick Fair versus Atlanta Brick Con,
Brick Fair was a very different experience for me because that was like 1,000 AFOLs, but that one felt like a lot older crowd with the random section of young kids. Like the Instagrammers and the TikTokers, there was like a little tiny pocket of them, but then the majority of those 1,000 AFOLs at Brick Fair was like these really older than me, right? I mean, I guess I'm basically an old timer, but
I feel like it's like that at all the conventions. I mean, like you could even say the same thing for Chicago. I mean, a lot of lugs were present. Obviously, there's a huge like influencer like presence, like especially but there's still, I would say, a lot of like, you know, the OG, very simple. I'm there because my lug's there. I'm there because my friends are there. Not involved in anything that has to do with media in Chicago still. And I don't presume they're doing Brick Fair.
Yeah, totally. Same way. But then, so from Atlanta has a big lug there. Peach Lug, you know, all of those guys were there. Like Old Great Bricks, Fazoom, I'm sure you know him. Dana, that has the monochrome. I can't think of everybody changed their name. See, it's so hard. You used to know people by like their Facebook profile and their name, but now it's all screen names and struggle.
Let's go into this a little bit about like not having social media influencers. I know you can't dive into specifics, but like what was the premise of like why these conventions don't really cater to it? Because Chicago should be a good example of that. You know, you have all these people bringing in their friends for one, and then obviously their own audiences. So with you trying to like use that to your advantage, like why aren't these other conventions doing that?
You know, I know most of the owners of the other conventions, and I think they just have more of that old world mentality of, oh, we just have our lugs and these Lego people are going to show up every year regardless. They've been around for a while, so they don't need to worry about it. Brick World will be here, this year, and it'll be here again in 10 years, right? Like, Brick World won't really go anywhere. I don't see it going anywhere.
But I mean, they obviously like want to market, right? Otherwise, Lego Masters wouldn't be incentivized to be there.
But they don't have to. That's the crazy part, right? Brick World has been like, so the transition you kind of talked about from like early convention days to now, Lego used to like take new sets and actually do set releases at conventions. And then they pulled back on that. They used to send out Lego designers and they've pulled back on that. And there's been a lot of changes over the years where like Lego was sending people to like BrickCon or Brick World, and you'd go to those places to see like these new exciting Lego things. But now they've pulled all that back and it's all digital and they don't do that as much anymore.
It's just cost cutting. They're like, from a marketing perspective, they don't see the returns.
Yeah. So like I think they sent Stuart Harris last year to Brick World from the Lego House, right? Because they wanted to market the Lego House. But then there's like that group Euro Bricks. They always do a big collab and they do it at Brick World, right? That's kind of they don't have to necessarily market because they know it'll just happen on its own. Where for me, I'm like, I need to market because I'm tiny.
I mean, it's just wild though, because it's like influencers, like if you're going to incentivize someone to come, it's like, I just think that influencers have like a lot more power than Lego Masters. But
I don't disagree.
Yeah. And like the Lego Masters are cool.
One of my best friends is a Lego Master. Like,
yeah, no. Lego Masters are great. It's just the nature of the show. It's reality TV. It has it has a shelf life, right? Like, that's unfortunate. And like the fandom is for the show, not the individual. And like people will probably argue with me on that point, but I feel like there was this like sweet moment where convention owners could have gone after the big guy, the big Lego influencers and been like, come, we'll just like give you a free ticket and a space to display. And they would have done it like willingly. Do you know what I mean? But I think now, because a lot of the mega influencers now, they've learned how to monetize themselves and they have learned their marketing value. Really, and to their benefit. And so like now they know that like, their time is cost at a certain point. So it's almost like maybe it would behoove, to kind of get after some of the smaller ones or some of the people that like want to kind of almost like donate their time because they want to support like, the BrickSlopes cause or something like that. Like maybe like if there's like a local one, I don't know. I think that would be interesting. I do think there was like a sweet time, like maybe a year and a half ago, or like right when convention started again, where I think those influencers would have done it. But to be totally transparent, I think those other convention owners kind of soured it.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what you mean. I've heard horror stories. I know.
Yeah. And it's like, it's unfortunate because it could have been like a very symbiotic relationship. Actually, not symbiotic. It is like one directional in terms of like the benefit, like the convention does benefit more. Yeah. But I mean, like if you guys like had high margins and high profits, you would have the freedom to like, bring in people and they would bring in their crowds, which is like, I mean, you've seen what those crowds can look like.
Oh, yeah.
And it's wild. And what's interesting is like, I feel like because of said convention owners, the dynamic between those like old school AFOL and influencers has gotten even worse. Like, and which is unfortunate because I don't think that's anyone's fault, either the old school AFOL or the influencer, because it's, of course, an AFOL is not going to like an influencer line meet and greet, blocking their mock, knocking over their mock, anything like that. Nobody wants that. No. And then like, I remember I was standing with like Holly from Holly on Film at Brick World, and a guy there was a line of people talking to her, and her and I were just like chatting or something, like, and a line would naturally form to talk to her. And then this old school guy who had this like this mock that probably cost him like $40,000 and was beautiful, and he spent his life on it, and no one was paying any attention to it because they probably walked around seeing it already. It had nothing to say about this thing. And he was like, wait, are these people waiting in line to talk to you? He asked Holly that very politely. And he's like, why are they like waiting to meet you? And she's like, oh, I just like sit in my bedroom and make videos online. You know, she completely like diminished like what she does.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's also, she's not lying. And he was so confused. And it was like, I think there was like he was almost insulted. Do you know what I mean? A little bit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an unfortunate situation, I think.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, at least my approach now. We've been talking to a few people, like, what could we do to make that a better experience? That's why we talked about like doing like an influencer booth. It's funny you bring it up because like the Lego Master panels that happened at Brick World last year, you saw a big shift of AFOs not stay for those panels, right?
Yeah.
At least that's what I noticed. It seemed like a lot of people weren't. They're like, yeah, you were on the show. Okay, cool, right? But then, like you said, there was a line around Holly on the floor, right?
And like people running after Emily.
To be fair with the for that instance, not to diminish like what you were saying, the panel was like during private days, you know what I mean, versus like the public days when people would actually know. Like that panel was, if the panel was maybe during the public days, that might have been a little bit better for them. But you know, it's I don't think that's quite the same in like if you were to weigh it. But I do understand. Like
the public is probably more interested in the Lego Masters, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Than the AFOs that already know who they are. And
exactly. Like the AFOs don't care. Like a lot of the Lego Masters were AFOs like last week. Do you know what I mean? It's
we're gonna go see them at the bar right after this, anyways.
Yeah.
Versus like someone like Holly, like for someone like Holly or Emily or Ryan, you know, for them to not have a designated area for people to go to, like if you catch them in the wild, you're going to want to talk to them if you can. And if they're already stopped, implanted somewhere, no matter where it is, like talking to fans, you're going to want to try to get their attention too. And that's usually what happens. The influencers, that's kind of not their fault. They don't want to be rude. They want to like, you know, be appreciative and, you know, give time to people. And so unfortunately, just like in Chicago, for an example, it really isn't like nowhere comfortable to do that during public days.
And so like last year, I was with Ryan at Virginia. 2 years ago. And he decided to like plant himself at the Star Wars area, which was like good because he had like a barrier. Not that he needs to have a barrier, but he had like an area where he could stop and like talk to people. But there was like a couple mocks around him that like didn't get the attention. And so this next year he was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to like take over that mock. I don't want to do that. He like didn't want to cover that area. Like I had gone and like very kindly, very professionally been like, hi. We've got a little bit of like a crowd control situation. One, it's a fire hazard. Two, it's, you know, I was like very clear as to like, can we like just borrow one of these spare tables? I can go set it up. Sans can carry it. We can put it in the back where there's nobody. Is that okay? And they were
did you talk to Todd?
I talked to multiple people. Yeah.
Todd's the owner of Brick Fair, Virginia.
Yeah. I talked to Todd and like
he's interesting.
And unfortunately, like instead of them being like no directly, I was sent down some like just rabbit hole. It was really actually disrespectful to my time as well, and to like which is fine. I don't need to like bring that up, even though I just did. But it was very weird. It was like a weird, you know what I mean? It's like when you're on the phone with like a call center or something, and then they're like press 2. And you press 2, and then you press 3, and then you press 5, and you're just like going for an hour
kind of thing.
Basically, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And I understand that they're busy, and I've planned like huge events before, and I was like trying to be I was like, on your own time, is that okay? And you know what? If they don't want those influencers there, they should just be like, no influencers. They should just not be allowed to go to that convention, and then whatever. You know, I don't understand. I feel really strongly about it because I think it's like, and then you hear them being like, well, how do we make like Lego for the younger generation? Like
younger generation is the influencers.
You cannot have this like more served on a silver spoon or platter. You know what I mean? It's like, and then not a lot of people, but there's a whole thing of like, how do you get more women involved in the hobby?
You know, that's funny because Atlanta, that was the ironic thing for me is usually I'll go with a posse of people to a convention, but my posse consisted of like 6 women and me, which was a totally different experience. It was awesome. A lot of indecision, but it was awesome.
That's great. I mean, that's fantastic.
They all wanted, I mean, it was like Aubrey Friss and my Aubrey, and then Susan from Lego Masters, and Nicole and Jean, the Funko Pop chick in Texas.
Yeah.
And
she'll always be the Funko Pop chick.
Yeah. My friend Jen was there. Like, it was
it's just lots of ladies, which is fantastic. But the thing is like, okay, if you, and you know, obviously this is probably not the right panel to talk about it, but like, how do you get more women involved? It's such a loaded question.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think it's definitely growing. The women builders are definitely out there. They're definitely I'm sure you saw the TikTok that Holly and Jean and Aubrey did.
It's growing, but
so, like, that was the first time I actually spent time with Holly, and it was pretty funny because I was like directing this weird TikTok thing that's happening, and I'm like clicking the button, and I'm like 3, 2, 1, and fish, and they're all fishing. Oh my gosh, it was.
That's you were basically a photographer all weekend. No, but it's still a very specific type of like female participant. It's still like someone who embraces their nerdums. It's someone who's like found confidence in that, independent of the hobby, not through the hobby. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's a conversation about destigmatizing toy collection for women, which it actually isn't socially acceptable. If you really think about it, the only way that a lot of people justify it to themselves is by mock building or content creation or doing something else in addition to the hobby other than like whatnot. I don't know. It's a different conversation to be had. I think the conventions are a really good place to maybe like take that away. But Brick Fair Virginia, I would say if you're like a lady who wants to like meet other women who want to do Lego, don't go there.
Yeah.
No,
that, like I said, I definitely had an old world Lego vibe in Virginia, more old school, traditional lugs.
Yeah, if you want to experience that, then go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah,
come to BrickSlopes. There's lots of ladies. We have lots of lady builders.
Yeah, I feel like, Utah feels like a good vibe like that, and also like the ladies are all like pretty diverse in terms of like backgrounds and interests and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
You got the extreme. Like my best friend Susan, she's a little older than I am, but she was on Lego Masters. She's been a collector forever, right? And you've got my friend Aubrey, who's very different from her. They're very different extremes. They're both moms, but they have very different tastes, very different builds. Like Susan loves trains, Aubrey loves elves, right? It's a very different dynamic, but you know, they come together and it's good times.
Which is good.
I feel like if you just want to paint any convention in a single plateau of like what they are and what they bring, it really just takes recording it, making a video out of it, and putting it out there for people to notice that it exists, for one. And then when you add another element of like, you know, making the video fun instead of just showing, you know, no shots against, you know, Beyond the Brick, but like you're just showing the mock, right? You're not really showing the atmosphere. You're not showing the events. You're not showing the crowd. So, you know, you don't really get a feel of what the convention life is like. And if you want to take Atlanta BrickCon as a pure example of this, right? For the most part, it kind of came under the radar with a lot of us. Like none of us paid that much attention to it until like everybody started posting stuff on Instagram. Like when you start seeing one person post something, then the other person posts something, like, oh, they're there. Oh, they're there. Oh, snaps, they're together. And then they start filming not only like, you know, little selfie photos of themselves and friends, but then they start showing outwards, like being doing lives or they're showing the crowd. Then you really get a sense of like, oh crap, it's huge. You know what I mean?
Their public turnout for that, it sold out. It was insane. Like the actual public, you had to swim through people to get in there, and it was. And
we would have never known that unless they would have done the same thing. So like it really like it's kind of sad that a lot of these convention owners don't really take note of that. Like it takes
their last year. The last Atlanta BrickCon has done it twice. Last year they were in like a high school gymnasium. So then they upgraded to a convention hall, and it still wasn't enough space. So he knows what he's doing.
But like, if you want to it's good that you know that. But for any new convention out there, or anyone out there that doesn't really think this world, not just social media, but like the influence, but social media in general, it pays a lot to, you know, turnout and like reliability and like, oh snaps, I want to go there next year. Like Chicago being like pretty much the main like one of that was because of the FOMO from last year.
Yeah.
Like how many videos were made of Chicago, not just like simple YouTube videos, but like Instagram photos, group photos, like, you know, stories, and then obviously the mocks, and then like who's there. it definitely really felt like, oh damn, I totally missed out, and I'm definitely going to be there next year. So to kind of like pull that type of attention, just to get like a bunch of people there and make it look like it's a great time. It's almost like Neighbors 2. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Neighbors. No.
I don't. I think I have, but like it's one of those like in one ear out the other.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the second one right there, it has to do with the sorority, and they're pretty much making like to make a party video. They like there's only 4 of them in the video, but they're hyping it up so much that it looks like a good time. Then everybody shows up. It's like that type of thing, like where you want your party to be cool, then make it look cool, like out there and put it into the world. So I feel like conventions aren't doing it themselves, the people are, and it kind of sucks that like people like Ryan don't get the credit that he probably deserves. But like, no offense to the Lego Masters, they get all comped.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, just I have offered Lego Masters and influencers alike free passes to BrickSlopes because that's what I can do, right? I mean, like our keynote speaker, we cover their hotel, and that's about all we can cover. They have to be here.
You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there.
I'd like to get there one day. I'd happily pay for everything because, like I said, king of swag. I'll swag it all away if I can.
Do you think about moving the date then?
We actually used to be May the 4th weekend. Like we did a lot of Star Wars things in the early days, and it was okay. Our best year was actually our first year, which was 8 years ago or 9 years ago, which was crazy. Oh. And then last year was probably our second best year.
Okay. So that date's fine then.
So yeah, the August dates are actually working pretty well for us, at least for public numbers. Like we need public numbers to survive.
Well, yeah, of course. Gotta have lots of summer before school starts.
Well, so ours is kind of like right after school starts, but then people are at home because in Utah in the summer, you want to be outside in the mountains, you want to be hiking, you're on family reunions and vacations, and we don't want to compete with all that stuff. So we do it right at the end of August when everybody's like, oh, they're in school, just barely. They're at home. What are they going to do this weekend? Oh, we're going to go see some Lego, right? We've done it 2 years now in August, and it's worked out a lot better for us.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what are your numbers like? Because you've been shooting numbers again for everybody else. In comparison to Chicago, what is that like?
AFL numbers, we are around 250-ish.
Okay.
AFLs. Yeah. Chicago is like 1,500-ish AFLs.
And then
public numbers, I think we pulled in around 6,000 last year public for
That's still a lot of people.
It was a lot. And I felt like Brick World was less than that. I don't think they had the same crowd-wise. I think the Atlanta BrickCon public numbers were insane as well. But I don't know what they were. I just know they were insane because there were so many people there.
Is it so many people shoved into a tiny space?
Yeah.
Or is it like, if it was in a bigger space, it wouldn't feel like so many people?
That would be part of it, but there was a line out the door. Like there was a massive line. It was a lot of people.
Well, before we just completely take over the entire episode with convention talk, let's go into BBGForge right quick because
told you I had too much convention talk. Yeah, I've done too many. That's the problem.
Bring you back just to kind of recap the convention stuff. But BBGForge, it's a company, another company that you started.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Basically, my best friend Corey was working at Bricks and Minifigs. He left that company. He was doing printing, and he's like, we could probably do this. And so he's a stay-at-home dad, and I was like, I could probably invest in it, and why don't we do it on ourselves? And then we can just make the cool things we want to make. So about a year and a half ago, I started accumulating all the printing things, and basically, so my best friend could have a day job. So that's kind of how it happened. But now it's nice because it's like, oh, we can print cool things and do people's bricks. And, I'm not necessarily in it to make the money, but it's sure nice. I can make a sig fig for somebody to give out. So not recommended to sit in your pocket. So don't do that. Don't let them sit in your pockets. The body heat is bad.
So you're in the beginning stages of this, and we've had
we're 1 year in, basically.
1 year in, investment into your equipment isn't going to be like Citizen Brick quality because they're pad.
So Citizen Brick is a pad printer, and I'm sure you know the difference. Pad prints where it takes the rubber ink stamp thing, presses on the ink, presses on the piece, right?
Yep.
That's how Lego does it. Ironically, at like Legoland Discovery Centers, where they have those machines where you can print on minifigs, it's the exact same machine I'm using. So technically, like Lego, but not.
Good one.
About those technicalities.
Yeah. It is better than water slides and decals and stuff like that. The UV print, it's a spray ink, so it sprays over and then a UV light goes over it and dries it. It's a lot harder to take off than the Lego print, ironically.
Oh yeah, you could definitely bang those around a lot easier.
Yeah.
My kids proved that.
Yeah. So I mean, Citizen Brick, he does amazing stuff. I really like Joe. I've bought all his stuff for many years. He's a great dude. Victor from Eclipse Graphics, he does the same UV printing. He does awesome stuff, right?
And recently took over Brick Warriors.
He did, yeah.
Do you consider like BBG Forge having like some sort of niche as far as like all these other ones? Like K-Ton example, it's like mainly like medieval and like more Napoleonic times. You know, Citizen Brick is like pad print. We all know them as the pad printer Lego look like, with like, you know, pop culture references all over it, you know, yada, yada, yada. Like, where do you see, obviously the Brick Mania with like military stuff, like Minifico, blah, blah. Where do you see BBG Forge at?
Ooh, you know, we've kind of, I mean, Corey and I are big castle guys. I'm a pirate guy. He's a castle guy. So we like the medieval stuff. He really wants to do his own knights.
You have some zombies too.
So we have zombies, but like we kind of do things where there's a void. So like we did Andy from The Office, right?
Good one.
You know, there's a set and there's no Andy. So we did an Andy. Our newest release was Faramir from Lord of the Rings. There was no Faramir in any sets, right? We did Jack and Rose from Titanic because there was no figs with that ship, and there should have been figs, right? Come on. So we just do stuff that makes us happy, and we want to fill gaps where it's like, oh, I want this. We just did a Princess Bride set because we could, right? I'm old. That's how you know, right? I just dated myself. So
yeah, I mean, you're not that far along. No, because like when I think of like third party Lego companies, like I always refer to them to something that like I would, for example, Brickmania, military, Minifico, you know, Forest Moon Brick, Star Wars / military, like BBG Forge. Like I'm still trying to find that definition too. I mean, you guys are very new. Like
we don't have. There's not a real specific thing. I mean, a lot of our website right now is castle stuff because my buddy loves castle, so he's done a lot of castle things. But we have zombie stuff. We have pop culture stuff. We have modern things. You know, it's kind of, we want to just fill the void with what people want, I guess. You know, I love doing convention bricks. So we do a lot of convention bricks for people, which is great.
Plus, you make people sig figs, like individually. Yeah, you have that option on your site where you could make your one sig fig, which I think none of them do. Like
no, because it's like Victor won't even touch a sig fig for less than $500 to design, just to design.
Oh, I know.
He's like, you're insane, and I'm like,
but he's not taking any orders anyway. So
he's not. Yeah, he's not. He's too big though, right? And we're still small, and so because we're small, we can take these random jobs. And I think your sig fig order is now our biggest sig fig order. So thanks, appreciate the love.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be putting one in soon as well.
But it's, you know, yours is probably one of the most difficult.
I'm sorry.
Is it for you? Is it for you, Shy?
But it's the coolest fig.
You'll get one.
It's the coolest fig.
Okay, there you go.
Do you have one on you?
I can probably grab you the proof. Hold on, let's see. Sorry,
so while he's doing that, so BBG Forge is making my sig fig. I didn't get that many, so this is the first batch. It is, even though homie, it's still pricey. I'm not trying to like get hooked up or anything like that. So, you know, it takes work. I understand the process behind it, but either way, it looks dope, and I can't wait till you guys see it.
Are you sure you want me to show this right now? You said you didn't want it shown.
It's like an hour into this episode. It's like, yay!
It's not going to focus real well.
It's so cute.
Okay.
I mean,
hella blur. I mean, that's not my art. I'm supposed to be burgundy, but it's cool.
So did you do the art, or did BBG Forge do the art?
Took Shy's 3D printed fig.
Let me see the back. Show the back.
Let's see. Bruh.
There's a couple proofs. Like these are all proofs, so it's
that's a smaller version.
Yeah, this is this. Like I said, we sent all the good stuff away.
Yeah.
Oh my
god. I was a very difficult customer.
How many did you get? Why?
Like, here's an example. So
I got 50.
Okay.
I don't know many printers that actually print on the back of legs.
No, that's awesome.
Not many people do that. So that's one thing that we definitely do. Like on our knights, we'll print on the back of the knights.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Shy's shoes, all fancy.
The Chucks.
Fancy.
So yeah, dude. Thanks, Cody and partner, for like literally
Had
going
to?
back and
Bruh.
forth with this because there was always like something new that I discovered after the fact when they printed something and be like, can you make that bigger? Like by 25%. Until like
Yeah,
I was like, "Look,
he didn't like that I did that in the moment. He's like, stop it. He's like, don't call him, don't do it live. He's like trying to design as we're talking, and I'm like, it's okay. Just hurry and make it a little bigger. It's fine.
So you're one of the few companies that do this, and it's a rarity to find a company to one, be very patient with people, but two, you could do them as individuals. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to buy a whole batch.
No.
Yeah, so you can
Our
take the
one
time.
fig starts out at $75, and we will try to match it to your person as best we can. I mean, we try to. Somebody asked me recently, it's like, will you do 3D printed parts? And I'm like, no, we customize, we upgrade Lego. So whatever Lego there is out there, we'll upgrade the Lego. But we're not going to like 3D print a different hairpiece or. Unfortunately, we're not set up yet to print on arms. Too soon, I know.
Too soon. Yeah, I was kind of sad I couldn't get tattoos. But no. So you're in the beginning stage of this, and for the amount of print you put all around, I mean, I've seen some of the other figs. I have the blue fig, the Blue Knight, the Crusader Knight. I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah, so I have that one, and courtesy of Sens, and then. Nice. Like it's you're able to print like literally 360 print like all the way around the body for the most part. We mostly
do the legs all the way around. Torso we do front and back. Head we can do both sides of heads, and the hat thing's scary. Like he wants you to know there'll be slight variation in the hat, just barely, because trying to jig a hat is ridiculous. But
so there are tricks. I'm sure you'll get to like know the best ways to do them. Aside from getting different equipment, that just takes time and practice. Yeah. It took the other companies like Eclipse or Victor or Brickmania or
they've all been around.
Yeah,
they've all been around now like 10 plus years, right? So,
and then it takes time to do something like this. It's not like around you figure it out and you got it. Look at K-Town. He now has his own. I don't know if you guys saw it. Like, have you guys seen K-Town's like new spot? He like moved out of his downstairs basement of claustrophobia into like a warehouse. Yeah. So he's doing some pretty big things now. He's getting to pad printing, but he's been doing it for a couple years now. So if this is the beginning stages of BBGForge, like, sky's the limit. Like if you really want to put a lot of like money into it. Yeah. So.
And honestly, that's the thing. I guess that's the difference between me and the others is I care to give someone something they want because I'm a people pleaser. Yeah. I want to make sure everybody's happy and having a good time. If I make money along the way, that's great, but I didn't need it, right? I mean, it'd be cool to replace my day job, and it may get there, but it's not.
Yeah, these other companies doing, you could do it too. And with the way Lego's projecting as far as like fandom and popularity, there is huge potential.
Yeah, I'll be more excited when I'm like at Chicago and I see you giving your sig fig to somebody, trading somebody, and then I'll be like, oh, that's what I needed right there. That's all I needed. That's.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get those. Thank you again ahead of time.
Wish they would have been there sooner, but custom work takes time.
What am I going to do with all of them right now? I was just going to say, I will look at them.
Yeah, you can't rush art.
No, I got like 12 extra torsos. You got those in there, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Just to make like my original 13 bikers in my motorcycle club.
He's like, is that why he's doing that? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's doing it for his gang. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. So they're gonna take over the city. It's gonna be funny. I showed some of my guys in my club, and they're like, "Dude, I want one."
Yeah, that's
you're gonna pay me for this one, bro.
Oh yeah, so, totally charge your friends. Like, it's $20, man. $20. Yep.
That's still a good price.
We want to get more into your your company. We'll probably have to bring you back. So we're gonna definitely talk about that. The convention definitely was a huge point. I didn't know you were in charge of slopes. That was
there's too much convention time.
Yeah, that was a complete like new thing to me. Like I said again, I knew you were like one of the heads. I just didn't know that was your baby.
I brick around like I told you too much.
I love it.
So I guess it's a good time to kind of put a pause into it. Yeah. Cody, do you have anything you want to plug, say, share?
I guess I will plug BrickSlopes. So come see me. Like I said, I'm the swaggiest con, king of swag. August 24th through the 27th in Utah, Sandy, Utah. It's about 20 minutes from the airport. Hotel rates really cheap, $114 a night. No big deal. Mm-hmm. It's summer. It's nice here. We meet at the hotel. After hours at the convention, we hang out on the patio, drink, have a good time. It's delightful.
And it's not all the way on the East Coast.
and it's not all the way on the East Coast.
No,
You guys could drive here.
You could actually
Well,
drive there comfortably. I could, yeah. All right. Well, what about BBG Forge? You're not going to plug that? All right.
Just bbgforge.com. Super
There you
easy.
go.
There it
That's
is.
what I was waiting for. The website plug.
Sorry. I'm good at this. I'm so good at it.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's roll that music. Thank you again, Cody.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. Peace.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Now I feel like I have to go there now.